Hi, for today's devotional, we're going to be in Matthew chapter 26, verses 6 through 13. So let me ask you this question. Have you ever been in a situation where you just acted out of instinct? Like you acted without thinking? I mean, you just reacted to a scenario, and in hindsight, you look back and you're like, that was awesome. I'm glad I reacted that way. I'll never forget a time when I was on a mission trip in Nicaragua with our youth group. And there's this guy on our trip who had made this awesome connection with a Nicaraguan high school student. And at the end of the trip, as they're saying goodbye, I could just see something almost holy happening. This guy in our youth group took off his shoes and he gave them to his Nicaraguan friend. I mean, they were expensive Nikes and he just took them off and gave them away. I could tell he wasn't even thinking about it. He just knew what he had to do. Have you ever been in that situation where you just knew what you had to do and the moment was now to act? Well, that's what we see in this passage today. In verse 6, for context, it says that meanwhile, Jesus was in Bethany at the home of Simon, a man who had previously had leprosy. So Jesus was hanging out with this guy who was probably considered an outcast of society. Simon, it says he previously had leprosy, which meant that he was sick. He was a guy that nobody wanted to be around. And yet, he previously had it because Jesus healed him. I mean, Jesus actually took this leprosy away. It shows the power that Jesus has, but it also shows that Jesus is okay with hanging out with somebody who's considered an outcast. So Jesus is eating with this guy, Simon, and then all of a sudden, something incredible happens. It says in verse 7, while he was eating, a woman came in with a beautiful alabaster jar of expensive perfume and poured it all over his head. I like to call this a holy interruption. I mean, it's one of those moments that you can just tell something bigger is happening. This woman, she doesn't care about the situation. She just interrupts. In this holy interruption, she comes on the scene and starts to act almost without thinking. And what does she do? She takes this jar, this alabaster jar, which is sort of like a white marble jar, and inside it has this incredibly expensive ointment. And she breaks it, and she pours it on Jesus' head. It's like this lavish demonstration of respect that she has for this man. Why? I think she knows that this situation is bigger than her. I mean, this is this incredible demonstration of respect, but it's also this incredible act of generosity. No, it goes even further than incredible generosity. It's excessive generosity. It's generosity that doesn't even really make sense, because this woman knows that she has a once in a lifetime opportunity to worship her Savior. She has a once in a lifetime chance to demonstrate her love for Jesus. And I find that we are probably in a similar situation. We're in a once-in-a-generation opportunity to demonstrate excessive generosity to the world, to demonstrate that our hope isn't in material possessions. Our hope isn't in what we currently have, but our hope is in the eternal. And how will we respond? You see, at the end of this, Jesus says, I tell you the truth, wherever the good news is preached throughout the world, this woman's deed will be remembered and discussed. Church, how will we be remembered? How will we respond with incredible generosity, with excessive generosity? How will we be remembered with our actions during this time? I love you, church. I hope this was encouraging, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.